The night that changed everything, Machen pressed her face against the cold glass of the Sterling Gallery's front window, her breath fogging up the surface as she peered inside. The prestigious art gallery stood like a fortress of culture in the heart of downtown, its pristine white walls displaying masterpieces worth millions. At 28, Emma had dreamed of having her paintings displayed here since art school, but her canvases remained stacked in her tiny studio apartment, unseen by the world that mattered. Tonight was different, though. Tonight, she had finally worked up the courage to slip her portfolio through the mail slot, hoping against hope that someone would notice her work among the hundreds of submissions they probably received. She had spent her last $20 on professional prints of her 3 best pieces, skipping meals for a week to afford the presentation folders. As she turned to walk away, something caught her eye. A shadow moved inside the gallery, gliding between the expensive sculptures and paintings. Emma's heart skipped a beat. The gallery had closed hours ago, and she was certain she had seen the security guard leave around 10 o'clock. The confrontation Emma fumbled for her phone, ready to call the police when she saw the figure more clearly. It was a woman, tall and graceful, with long dark hair that caught the moonlight streaming through the skylights. She wore an elegant black coat and moved with the confidence of someone who belonged there, but that made no sense. The gallery was definitely closed. The woman was examining a particular painting, one that Emma recognized as a contemporary piece by a rising artist. She seemed to be taking notes or perhaps photographs. Emma's mind raced. Was this person stealing information about the artworks? Planning a heist? She had heard about art thieves who studied galleries for weeks before making their move, making a decision that would later seem incredibly brave or incredibly stupid. Emma tried the front door. To her surprise, it opened easily. Either the security guard had forgotten to lock it, or this mysterious woman had somehow gained access. Emma's heart pounded as she stepped inside, the familiar scent of oils and varnish filling her nostrils. "Excuse me?" Emma called out, her voice echoing in the spacious gallery. "The gallery is closed. You need to leave." The woman spun around, and Emma caught her first clear glimpse of her face. She was breathtakingly beautiful, with sharp cheekbones and intelligent green eyes that seemed to glow in the dim lighting. For a moment, Emma forgot why she was there, mesmerized by the woman's presence. "Oh," the woman said, her voice smooth and cultured, with just a hint of surprise. "I didn't realize anyone else was here." "It's because you're not supposed to be here," Emma replied, trying to sound more confident than she felt. "This is breaking and entering. I'm calling the police." The woman raised her hands peacefully. Emma noticed she wore an expensive-looking watch that probably cost more than Emma's yearly rent. "Please, there's no need for that. I can explain." "Explain what?" "How you got in here after hours." "You're doing with that notepad?" Emma pulled out her phone, but her hands were shaking. She had never confronted a potential criminal before, and despite the woman's calm demeanor, Emma was terrified. The pepper spray incident, the woman took a step forward, and Emma panicked. Remembering the small canister of pepper spray, her sister Kate had given her for protection, she fumbled in her purse and pulled it out. "Stay back," Emma shouted. "I mean it." "Wait, please, let me just—" But Emma's finger was already on the trigger. The pepper spray shot out in a wide arc, catching the woman directly in the face. She cried out, stumbling backward and knocking into a small sculpture on a pedestal. Emma watched in horror as both the woman and the sculpture crashed to the floor. "God, oh no, what have I done?" Emma dropped the pepper spray and rushed forward. The woman was on her knees, coughing and trying to wipe her eyes with her coat sleeve. Tears streamed down her face, and her perfect composure had completely shattered. Emma knelt beside her, guilt overwhelming her fear. "I'm so sorry. I thought you were. I mean, you're not supposed to be here, and I got scared." "And water?" the woman gasped. "Please, I need water." Emma looked around frantically. She remembered seeing a small kitchen area in the back of the gallery during her previous visits. "Don't move. I'll be right back." She ran through the gallery, her footsteps echoing loudly. In the silence, in the kitchen, she grabbed a bottle of water from the refrigerator and a handful of paper towels. When she returned, The woman was sitting on the floor, leaning against the wall, her eyes red and swollen. "Here," Emma said, kneeling beside her again. "This should help." And the woman accepted the water gratefully, using it to flush her eyes. Emma helped her, gently dabbing at her face with the damp paper towels, close even with her eyes streaming. And her face flushed. The woman was stunning. Emma found herself wondering who she was and what her story might be. "I really am sorry," Emma said softly. "You scared me and I thought I was a thief." The woman finished, her voice hoarse but understanding. "Given the circumstances, I suppose that was a reasonable assumption." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment, Emma continuing to help clean the pepper spray residue from the woman's face. There was something oddly intimate about the situation, despite how it had started. "What's your name?" the woman asked. Suddenly, Emma Chen, you have quite the protective instinct. Despite everything, there was amusement in her voice. "Though perhaps we should work on your aim." Emma couldn't help but smile. "Are you going to tell me who you are and what you're really doing here?" The woman looked at her for a long moment, as if weighing her options. "My name is Victoria Sterling, and this is my gallery." Emma's mouth fell open. Victoria Sterling. She had heard the name whispered in art. Circles knew she was the mysterious owner of the Sterling Gallery, but no one she knew had ever actually met her. Victoria Sterling was practically a legend in the art world, known for her incredible eye for talent and her reclusive nature. "Your gallery," Emma repeated weakly. "My gallery," Victoria confirmed. "I often come here late at night when I want to see the pieces without crowds or distractions. I have a key, obviously." Emma felt her face burn with embarrassment. She had pepper-sprayed the most influential gallery owner in the city. Her dreams of ever showing her work here had just gone up in smoke, along with Victoria Sterling's eyesight. "I think I should call that ambulance now," Emma said miserably. "And probably a lawyer for myself." But Victoria Sterling was laughing. Actually laughing, despite her red, watery eyes and disheveled appearance. "Emma Chen," she said, "I think this might be the beginning of a very interesting relationship." The morning after Emma woke up in her cramped studio apartment the next morning, wondering if the events of the previous night had been some sort of vivid dream. But the business card on her nightstand proved otherwise. Victoria Sterling, owner, and Director Sterling Gallery, it read in elegant script. Below the printed information, someone had handwritten a phone number and the words "call me." The memory came flooding back. After helping Victoria flush her eyes and ensuring she was okay, Emma had expected to be arrested, or at least banned from the gallery forever. Instead, Victoria had walked her through the space, explaining her vision for each exhibition and asking thoughtful questions about Emma's background as an artist. They had talked until nearly 3 in the morning, sitting on the gallery floor. Like two students sharing secrets, Emma's phone buzzed with a text from her sister Kate. "How did the portfolio drop-off go?" "Any word yet?" Emma stared at the message, unsure how to even begin explaining what had happened. She had completely forgotten about the portfolio and all the excitement. For all she knew, it was still lying by the front door where she had dropped it when she saw Victoria inside. The phone call after an hour of pacing around her apartment and drinking too much coffee, Emma finally worked up the courage to call the number on the card. Victoria answered on the second ring. "Emma," Victoria's voice was warm, with no trace of the hoarseness from the night before. "I was hoping you'd call." "How are your eyes? I've been worried all morning that I permanently damaged something." Victoria laughed, the sound rich and musical. "They're perfectly fine, though I must admit, it's been years since anyone surprised me quite that thoroughly." There was a pause, and Emma could hear the sounds of a busy office in the background. Phones ringing, people talking, the general buzz of a successful business. "Victoria, I want to apologize again for last night. I know you said it was fine, but I feel terrible about Emma." "Stop." Victoria's voice was gentle but firm. "You were protecting what you thought was valuable art from a potential thief. If anything, I'm impressed by your dedication to preserving culture." Emma smiled despite herself. "I'm not sure pepper spray is a recognized method of art preservation." "Perhaps not, but it's certainly effective." Victoria paused. "Listen, I have a proposition for you." Can you meet me for lunch today? Emma's heart skipped. Lunch? There's a small cafe on 5th Street called Meridian. Do you know it? Emma knew it well. She had walked past it countless times, peering through the windows at the well-dressed people inside, knowing she couldn't afford even a cup of coffee there. I know it, she said carefully. Meet me there at 1 o'clock. And Emma, bring your portfolio. The lunch meeting Meridian Cafe was exactly as elegant as Emma had imagined. Crystal chandeliers hung from a coffered ceiling, and every table was set with crisp white linens and fresh flowers. Emma felt completely out of place in her thrift store dress and worn flats. But the hostess led her to a corner table where Victoria was already waiting. If anything, Victoria looked even more stunning in daylight. She wore a tailored navy suit that probably cost more than Emma's monthly rent, and her dark hair was swept back in a perfect chignon. But her smile was warm and genuine when she saw Emma approach. You found it, Victoria said, standing to greet her. Please sit. Emma took the seat across from her, acutely aware of the other diners who seemed to belong in this world of expensive lunches and business deals. Thank you for inviting me, though I have to admit, I'm not sure why you did, Victoria signaled. The waiter, who appeared instantly with menus and water glasses, Cows, I'm curious about you. Emma Chen. It's not often someone breaks into my gallery and then helps me wash pepper spray out of my eyes. I didn't break in, Emma protested. The door was unlocked. Was it? Victoria's eyes twinkled with amusement. How interesting. They ordered lunch, Victoria, choosing a salmon salad while Emma opted for the least expensive item on the menu. A soup that still cost more than she usually spent on groceries in a week. As they waited for their food, Victoria leaned forward. Tell me about your art, she said. Emma pulled out her portfolio, hands trembling slightly as she opened it. The 3 prints she had spent her last $20 on looked somewhat shabby in the cafe's elegant lighting. But Victoria studied them with intense concentration. The first piece was a street scene Emma had painted from her apartment window, showing the contrast between the rundown buildings in her neighborhood and the gleaming skyscrapers in the distance. The second was a portrait of an elderly homeless man she often saw at the bus stop, his eyes holding stories of a lifetime of struggles. The third was more abstract, a swirling composition of blues and grays that Emma had painted during a particularly difficult period after losing her job at the coffee shop. Victoria examined each piece for several minutes, occasionally asking questions about Emma's technique or inspiration. Finally, she closed the portfolio and looked directly at Emma. These are remarkable, she said simply. Emma's heart soared, then immediately crashed back to earth. People said things like that to be polite all the time, especially after someone had accidentally assaulted them with pepper spray. I have to say that, Emma began, but Victoria held up a hand. Emma, I've been in the art world for 15 years. I've discovered 3 artists who went on to show in major museums. I've helped launch careers that are now worth millions. I don't give false praise. Their food arrived, but Emma barely noticed. She was staring at Victoria, trying to process what she was hearing. What are you saying? Emma asked. Victoria took a sip of her wine before answering. I'm saying that I want to offer you a show at the Sterling Gallery, solo exhibition. 6 pieces, displayed for 3 months, with a proper opening reception. Emma felt the room spinning. Are you serious? Completely serious? But there's one condition. Emma's heart sank. Of course there was a catch. There was always a catch. What? Condition. Victoria smiled, and suddenly she looked less like an intimidating gallery owner and more like a woman with a secret. You have to let me take you to dinner tonight so we can discuss the details properly. The revelation that evening, Victoria picked Emma up in a sleek black car that whispered along the city streets. Emma had spent 2 hours trying on every piece of clothing she owned before settling on a simple black dress that her sister had lent her for job interviews. Where are we going? Emma asked, as they glided through neighborhoods she had only seen from bus windows. My place, Victoria said. I thought you might like to see where I live when I'm not sneaking around art galleries in the middle of the night. Victoria's penthouse occupied the entire top floor of one of the city's most exclusive buildings. Floor-to-ceiling windows offered panoramic views of the city, and the walls were covered with paintings by artists Emma recognized from art history textbooks. It was like being inside a private museum. "This is incredible," Emma breathed, turning slowly to take it all in. "Most of these pieces are from artists I discovered early in their careers," Victoria explained, leading Emma to a comfortable seating area near the windows. "That's what I do, Emma. I find extraordinary talent before the rest of the world catches on." They settled onto a plush sofa, and Victoria poured 2 glasses of wine from a bottle that probably cost more than Emma's monthly food budget. "Tell me about yourself," Emma said. "I feel like I'm at a disadvantage here. You know, I'm a struggling artist who pepper sprays people, but I don't know anything about you except that you own the most prestigious gallery in the city." Victoria was quiet for a moment, swirling the wine in her glass. "What would you like? To know everything? How did you become so successful? Why do you visit the gallery alone at night? Why are you being so kind to someone who attacked you with pepper spray?" Victoria laughed. "Those are big questions." She curled her legs under her on the sofa, suddenly looking younger and more vulnerable. "I inherited the gallery from my grandmother when I was 25. Everyone expected me to sell it and live off the proceeds, but I had other ideas." "Your grandmother was in the art world? She was a painter herself, though not a very successful?" "One commercially. But she had an eye for recognizing talent in others. She taught me to see beyond the surface, to find the heart of what an artist is trying to say." Emma listened, fascinated by this glimpse into Victoria's world. "As for why I visit alone at night," Victoria continued, "it's because that's when I can really see the art. During the day, there are always people around, business to attend to, social obligations. But at night it's just me and the paintings. I can hear what they're trying to tell me. And why are you being kind to me?" Victoria met Emma's eyes, and something electric passed between them. "Because when I looked at your paintings today, I saw something I haven't seen in years. Raw talent, yes, but more than that. I saw honesty, truth. Most of the artists who submit to my gallery are technically proficient, but they're painting what they think will sell, not what they need to say." Emma felt heat rise in her cheeks. "What do my paintings say?" "They say that their creator has known struggle but hasn't let it make her bitter. They say she sees beauty in unexpected places. They say she has hope, even when hope seems foolish." Room fell silent, except for the distant sounds of the city below. Emma realized that somehow in the space of 24 hours, her entire life had changed. Not just because of the gallery show, though that was beyond her wildest dreams. Something else was happening, something she was afraid to name. "Victoria," she said softly, "what is this really about?" Victoria set down her wine glass and moved. Closer on the sofa, "It's about the fact that in 15 years of running that gallery, no one has ever made me laugh the way you did last night. It's about the fact that I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since you walked out. Those doors. It's about the fact that for the first time in a very long time, I'm interested in someone for reasons that have nothing to do with art or business." Emma's breath caught. "Victoria, I know we're from different worlds," Victoria continued. "I know this is complicated and probably inadvisable. But Emma, when you were helping clean the pepper spray from my eyes last night, something shifted inside me. Something I thought was permanently closed opened up again." Emma reached out and took Victoria's hand, surprised by how natural the gesture felt. "I felt it too," she admitted. "I've been trying to tell myself it was just gratitude or shock or something, but it wasn't. No, it wasn't." They sat together in the gathering darkness, the city lights beginning to twinkle below them. Emma thought about how drastically her life had changed in a single day. How a moment of mistaken identity and poor aim with pepper spray had led to this impossible, beautiful connection. "So what happens now?" Emma asked. Victoria squeezed her hand. "Now we take it one day at a time. Prepare for your show, we get to know each other better, and we see where this leads us. What if people talk? What if they say I only got the show because Victoria silenced her with a gentle touch to her cheek? Emma, your talent speaks for itself. Anyone who sees your work will know that. As for the rest, let them talk." "I stopped caring what other people thought a long time ago." As Victoria leaned in to kiss her, Emma marveled at the strange turns life could take. 24 hours ago, she had been a nobody with big dreams and empty pockets. Now she was sitting in a penthouse, about to have her first solo show. Falling for a woman she had initially mistaken for a thief. Sometimes, Emma thought, as Victoria's lips met hers, the best things in life came from the most unexpected encounters. 6. Weeks later, the Sterling Gallery buzzed with anticipation as Emma stood before her largest painting, making final adjustments to its position on the wall. The piece, titled "Finding Light in Dark Places," depicted a woman looking through a window. At dawn, her face reflecting both the darkness of night and the promise of morning. It was the most personal work Emma had ever created, and seeing it displayed in the same space where masters had hung felt surreal. "It's perfect there," Victoria said, appearing beside her with 2 cups of coffee. Even in jeans and a simple blouse, with her hair pulled back in a ponytail, she managed to look effortlessly elegant. Emma accepted the coffee gratefully. They had been at the gallery since sunrise, putting the finishing touches on the exhibition. Tonight was the opening reception, and Emma's stomach had been doing somersaults for the past week. "I can't believe this is really happening," Emma said, gazing around at her 6 paintings displayed with museum-quality lighting and professional placards. 3 months ago, I was eating ramen noodles for breakfast and wondering if I should give up on art entirely. Victoria moved closer, slipping her arm around Emma's waist. "And now I'm terrified that everyone will realize I'm a fraud who doesn't belong here." "Emma." Victoria turned to face her fully. "Look at me." Emma met her eyes, still amazed by how Victoria's presence could calm her anxiety. Said firmly, "Your art belongs here. And regardless of what happens tonight, that will always be true." Over the past 6 weeks, their relationship had deepened beyond either of their expectations. What had started as an unlikely attraction born from a case of mistaken identity had grown into something profound and transformative. Emma had discovered that beneath Victoria's polished exterior was a woman who had been lonely for years, using her success and social status as armor against genuine connection. Victoria had found in Emma someone who saw her not as a powerful gallery owner or wealthy socialite, but simply as a person worthy of love. The sisters' concerning knock on the gallery's front door interrupted Emma's thoughts. Through the glass, she could see her sister Kate, waiting outside, holding a large bouquet of flowers. "That's Kate," Emma told Victoria. "My sister. She's been dying to meet you." Victoria straightened her shoulders, and Emma caught a glimpse of nervousness in her expression. "You sure she's ready to meet me? I know this situation is unusual." Emma kissed Victoria's cheek. "She'll love you.
Oh.
Just be yourself." Kate burst through the door the moment Emma unlocked it, her energy filling the space immediately. She was shorter than Emma, with the same dark eyes, but a more outgoing personality. That had served her well in her career as a social worker. "Emma!" Kate exclaimed, pulling her sister into a tight hug. "I'm so proud of you I could burst." She held out the flowers. "These are for good luck tonight." "Kate, I'd like you to meet Victoria Sterling," Emma said, taking the flowers. "Victoria, this is my sister Kate." Kate extended her hand with a warm smile. "So you're the woman who's turned my sister's life upside down? It's wonderful to finally meet you." Victoria shook Kate's hand, her formal demeanor softening. "The pleasure is mine. Emma talks about you constantly." "All good things, I hope," Kate said with a laugh. Then her expression grew more serious. "Actually, could I steal Emma for a quick sister chat? Just 5 minutes?" Victoria nodded graciously. "Of course. I'll be in the back office if you need me." Once Victoria was out of earshot, Kate grabbed Emma's arm. "Okay, Spill. And don't give me the sanitized version you've been texting me. What's really going on here?" Emma sank onto a bench in the center of the gallery, surrounded by her own artwork. "It's complicated, Kate." "Complicated how? You're dating your gallery owner?" Which is either the most romantic thing I've ever heard, or a potential disaster waiting to happen. "Both," Emma admitted. "Kate, she's incredible. She's brilliant. And kind, and she makes me feel like I'm capable of anything. But she's also from a completely different world. Do you know she has a personal assistant who schedules her grocery shopping?" Kate sat beside her. "So, you think successful people don't deserve love?" "It's not that. It's just, what if this is all some kind of fantasy? What if once the novelty wears off, she realizes we have nothing in common besides the fact that I accidentally pepper sprayed her? Kate was quiet for a moment, studying Emma's face. Do you love her? The question hung in the air between them. Emma had been avoiding asking herself the same thing, afraid of the answer. Yes, she whispered. I think I do. Then stop sabotaging yourself, Kate said firmly. Emma, you've spent your entire adult life believing you don't deserve good things. You deserve this gallery show. You deserve success. And you deserve to be with someone who makes you happy, regardless of how much money she has. The opening reception by 7 o'clock. The gallery was filled with the soft murmur of conversation and the clink of champagne glasses. Emma stood near her first painting, wearing a simple black dress that Victoria had insisted on buying for her, trying to look calm while her heart raced. The guest list was an eclectic mix of established collectors, young professionals, art students, and critics. Emma recognized several faces from art magazines, and she felt a familiar wave of imposter syndrome wash over her. Emma Chen? A booming voice caught her attention. She turned to see James Morrison, the art critic from the city's most influential newspaper, approaching with a champagne flute in hand. I've been looking forward to meeting you. Emma's mouth went dry. She had read Morrison's reviews religiously for years, knowing that a positive review from him could launch a career, while a negative one could end it. Mr. Morrison, she managed. Thank you for coming. These pieces are quite striking, he said, gesturing toward her paintings. There's a raw emotional honesty here that's refreshing. So much contemporary art feels manufactured, but your work has genuine heart. Emma felt some of her tension ease. That means a great deal coming from you. Tell me about this one, Morrison said, stopping in front of Finding Light in Dark Places. There's something almost mythic about it. Emma looked at the painting, remembering the long night she had spent working on it, pouring her fears and hopes into every brushstroke. It's about transformation, she said. It's about finding beauty and possibility, even in the darkest moments. Morrison nodded thoughtfully. I can see that. There's a sense of resilience here, of someone who has faced difficulties but hasn't been broken by them. Across the room, Emma caught Victoria's eye. Victoria was deep in conversation with a couple Emma didn't recognize, but she caught Emma's gaze and smiled encouragingly. The unexpected challenge as the evening progressed, Emma began to relax and even enjoy herself. Several people approached her to discuss her work, and she was surprised by how naturally the conversations flowed. She was talking with a young collector about her artistic process when a familiar voice made her blood run cold. Emma, what are you doing here? She turned to see Eric, her ex-boyfriend, standing behind her in an expensive suit she didn't recognize. He looked successful and confident, nothing like the struggling musician who had left her a year ago to pursue his dreams in Los Angeles. Eric, she said, her voice carefully neutral, what are you doing here? I'm back in town on business. I heard about the show through a friend. His eyes swept over the gallery, taking in the elegant crowd and Emma's paintings on the walls. This is impressive. Really impressive. The young collector, sensing the tension, politely excused himself. Emma was left alone with Eric, acutely aware of the curious glances from nearby guests. You look good, Em, Eric said, moving closer. Success suits you. Thank you, Emma replied stiffly. She had no desire to rehash their relationship, especially not here tonight. Listen, I know things ended badly between us, but seeing you here, seeing what you've accomplished... He paused, running a hand through his hair in a gesture she remembered all too well. I made a mistake leaving. I've been thinking about you a lot lately. Emma felt a hand on her lower back and turned to see Victoria beside her, her expression politely curious but her eyes sharp. Emma, Victoria said smoothly, I don't believe I've met your friend. Victoria Sterling, this is Eric Hartman, Emma said, grateful for the interruption. Eric and I used to date. Eric, this is Victoria. She owns the gallery. Eric's eyes widened slightly as he took in Victoria's obvious wealth and sophistication. He extended his hand with a charming smile. Victoria, what a pleasure. This is an amazing space you have here. Thank you, Victoria replied, shaking his hand briefly. How do you know Emma's work? Oh, Emma and I go way back, Eric said with a familiarity that made Emma's skin crawl. I always knew she had talent. I'm just glad someone finally recognized it. The implication in his words was clear, and Emma saw Victoria's jaw tighten, almost imperceptibly. Actually, Victoria said, her voice taking on a steely edge, Emma's talent was evident from the moment I saw her portfolio. It's remarkable. When someone has both technical skill and genuine artistic vision. Eric seemed to sense the territorial undercurrent in the conversation. Well, of course. I just meant that it's wonderful to see dreams coming true. He turned back to Emma. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime this week? Catch up properly? Before Emma could respond, Victoria stepped slightly closer to her, a gesture that was subtle but unmistakably possessive. I'm afraid Emma will be quite busy this week, Victoria said with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. We have several follow-up meetings with collectors, and I believe there's already interest from a museum curator. Emma felt a surge of gratitude and something deeper for Victoria's protection. That's right, she said, finding her voice. My schedule is pretty packed. Eric's face fell slightly, but he recovered quickly. Of course. Well, maybe. Another time? Congratulations again, Em. You deserve all of this. He moved away into the crowd, leaving Emma and Victoria standing close together near one of Emma's paintings. Are you okay? Victoria asked quietly. Emma nodded, surprised by how little seeing Eric had affected her. A year ago, encountering him would have sent her into an emotional tailspin. Now, she felt only mild annoyance at the interruption. Thank you for running interference, Emma said. He has a way of making me feel small. But with you here, I felt strong. Victoria's expression softened. You are strong, Emma. Don't ever let anyone convince you otherwise. The perfect ending as the reception wound down and the last guests filtered out into the night. Emma stood in the empty gallery, still hardly believing the evening had actually happened. 3 of her pieces had sold, including Finding Light, in dark places, which had been purchased by a collector who planned to donate it to the city's contemporary art museum. Victoria appeared beside her, holding 2 glasses of champagne. To a successful evening, she said, offering Emma one of the glasses. 2 unexpected beginnings, Emma countered, clinking her glass against Victoria's. They stood together in comfortable silence, surrounded by Emma's art and the remnants of the celebration. Kate appeared from the back office, where she had been, helping pack up the catering supplies. I'm going to head home, Kate announced, giving Emma a knowing look. But first, I wanted to say something to both of you. She walked over and took both women's hands. Emma, I've never seen you as happy as you've been these past few weeks. Victoria, I don't know you well yet, but I can see how much you care about my sister. Whatever this is between you two, it's real and it's beautiful. Emma felt tears prick her eyes. Kate's approval meant everything to her. Take care of each other, Kate continued. And Emma, stop worrying about whether you deserve this. You do. After Kate left, Emma and Victoria found themselves alone in the gallery. Victoria dimmed the lights until only Emma's paintings were illuminated, creating an intimate atmosphere. How does it feel? Victoria asked. Your first successful show? Emma considered the question. It's like I'm finally becoming who I was meant to be, she said honestly. And not just because of the art, because of you too. Victoria moved closer, cupping Emma's face in her hands. You know, this is just the beginning, don't you? This show is going to open doors for you that you never imagined. I know, Emma said. But right now, all I care about is this moment. You and me, here, surrounded by art we both love. I love you, Victoria said suddenly. The words seeming to surprise her as much as they did Emma. Emma's heart skipped a beat. They had been moving toward this declaration for weeks, but hearing the words spoken aloud felt like a revelation. I love you too, Emma replied without hesitation. I think I have since that first night when you laughed after I pepper sprayed you. Victoria laughed, the sound echoing in the empty gallery. That was definitely not how I imagined falling. In love would happen. But aren't you glad it did? Victoria pulled Emma closer, kissing her deeply. I've never been more grateful for a case of mistaken identity in my life. As they held each other surrounded by Emma's art, both women marveled at how drastically their lives had changed. A chance encounter, a moment of panic, and a canister of pepper spray had led them to this perfect moment. What happens now? Emma asked, echoing the question she had posed weeks earlier in Victoria's penthouse. Now we build something beautiful together, Victoria replied. Art, love, a life that neither of us could have imagined on our own. Outside, the city continued its restless pace, but inside the Sterling Gallery, two women had found something precious and rare, a love that transcended social boundaries, financial differences, and the expectations of others. They had found each other in the most unlikely way, and now they were ready to face whatever challenges and joys lay ahead, together,